Good morning, folks. Welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, your host, and we're in luck because we're in eastern Riley County, and we're on the Bob and Mary Mertz farm, just east of Manhattan, and we're going to be talking to both Bob and Mary about their farming operation and also the other activities they have related to agriculture that I think you're going to want to hear about. We've got corn, we've got beans, we've got sheep, we've got donkeys, we got the whole thing. Folks, come on back after these words from our sponsors.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, your host, and we're in luck because we're on the Bob and Mary Mertz farm, east of Manhattan, really on the Wabaunsee County line, actually. So with us we have Bob and Mary. And thank you for being on the show with us this morning. We're eager to hear about your operation. But first, I want to say this is a beautiful farmhouse.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
and so tell us a little bit about how the farm got started, maybe a little history of this house itself. So maybe Bob, is Mary the one that the go-to person here, or
are you?
I'll talk about the house. You can talk about how.
Okay.
Okay. I'm the fourth generation of the Mertzes that have farmed in this area.
Okay.
And actually I farm with my brother Joe,
Mm-hmm.
and we go by the name of River Creek Farms.
Right.
And we run a Simmental, Sim Angus purebred operation, and sell bulls, and actually Joe handles that. And then we also have a cropping, corn, soybean cropping farm, and I handle most of our cropping.
And you have had, and you do have some sheep as well.
Yeah, the Mertzes have been known for 40 plus years of being some of the significant lamb feeders in the state of Kansas. And we dropped our lamb feeding program here about 10 years ago. We used to feed 3,000 to 5,000 head of lambs a year every winter. And so I grew up handling bunches of lambs. Now we've just kind of phased it down and have the club lamb,
Right, 4-H.
for 4-Hers
And FFA.
and 4-H and FFA, and sell lamb to the kids. And I enjoy working with the kids. That's
Sure.
always fun.
Sure. So Mary, tell us a little bit about the homestead
Okay.
here.
Well, first I'll start with the farm homestead because that's where his grandfather moved when he just got married, and that's where his father grew up, and that's also where he grew up until 1965, and that's when his parents moved to the house down the road and bought this one as well. So this has been in the family, the Mertz family, since then. We moved here we came back, I'm originally from Chicago, and Bob found me there and took me back home to the farm, and we came back in 1987, and this house looked totally different then, and I think you have pictures, but this was built in the late 1850s by a man named Abner Allen.
Abner Allen.
And we love the old limestone and just have extended the house in different directions throughout the years as our family has grown and our needs have grown. So we do use this house now as a guest house, and it's called the Abner Allen Guest House.
Okay. We'll talk more about that
Okay,
a little later.
Yeah.
But flood, we have some pictures of the flood of, 93, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, in 1993, of course, the whole Kansas River bottom was flooded. So I think everybody's aware of that.
Right.
And where we're standing now, we would have been in a couple feet of water. And it got as high as the first floor on this porch.
Okay,
Right.
that picture shows it up in the windows there.
Yes.
That would have been our living room. We
Yeah,
did have 3
yeah.
feet of water standing in there.
So your parents' house to the east and your brother's house to
Yes.
they were underwater as well, huh?
Actually, the houses themselves were just above the water level. Our house was the only one, this lower portion of the house.
Right, kind of
had
split level.
Yeah,
Right.
a split level. But all this from hillside to hillside was underwater. It was a discouraging year, to say the
Right,
least.
I remember it quite well. Don't go away, we got to take a break here. Folks, now's the time to get a cup of coffee and hurry on back. We'll start the show when you get back. See you then.
I'm a patient of Kansas Regenerative Medicine in Manhattan. I had stem cell therapy in my hips and my left knee, My wife and I both are patients. We went down there the same day in November. Since then, my hips are feeling a lot better. I can work now most of the day if I want to. And before, if I worked in the morning, I was done in the afternoon, or if I worked in the afternoon, I was sure enough done for the rest of the day.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamandkansas.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. We're on the Bob and Mary Mertz farm here in eastern Riley County, and obviously we got some corn here behind us, getting ready to pick. If it's got a little rainy day today, but tell us a little bit about your farming operation. I know you have corn, soybeans, and grain sorghum usually, but so tell us a little bit about the corn.
Well, we've got around 1,500 acres of corn this year, and it's kind of split between dryland and irrigated corn. I will say that this is probably it's going to be one of the nicest years as far as yield in relationship to our dryland corn. And this is kind of what our dryland corn is looking like this year. And to be quite honest, I haven't seen this type of yields in our dryland fields probably for 30 years plus I've been farming. We kind of refer to this as an Iowa, Illinois summer, which when we refer to that, we talk about a lot of rain.
Not too hot.
And not too hot, cool nights. And even on what we call our marginal fields, or kind of hillside fields that normally will average 100 to 125 bushel corn, we're seeing 165 bushel corn. And a lot of people talk about the great soil profiles, and you've got a background in agronomy, as you well know, is that we're actually, just because of our poor marginal fields here, we're actually seeing those yields, which tells me the atmosphere, rainfall and coolness has probably as much to do with it as anything.
Right.
So those type of yields. So we're excited. We've been harvesting now for about 10 days, and I don't know if you can tell, but we've been getting rained on us a little bit here this morning. It rained last night. We were combined last night till about 8:30 or so.
And
the $64 question for us is, will the yields here at the river bottom be proportionally better than what we're seeing up on the hillside? I don't think they will be. Hopefully you're going to be surprised. But with the super wet May we had, we actually saw a lot of this low ground either die out from too much water, or it restricted the growth. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
well, you're using some relatively new technology here on variable rate seeding and more precision agriculture. So with the this bottomland is not uniform, and you have one population doesn't really work across the whole field. So what are you looking at as far as your variable rate? What it'll range from?
Well, in agriculture farming in the last 5 years, we've seen a really fast adaptation of variable rate planting, fertilizer rates, even some of our chemical rates. We're seeing in this field behind us, we're planting this field anywhere from, I think, 24,000 seed population up to 36,000 seed population. We've been able to identify the high producing areas, and so we want to go ahead
them a little better?
treat them a little bit better. If they're year in, year out, they're going to do well. Well, let's treat them better. We've identified the poor producing areas, and so there isn't much reason to throw a lot of inputs behind it. And what we're seeing over the whole field then, on average, is actually less inputs, fertilizer, seed, and chemicals than what we had done the old traditional way of one blanket rate across the whole field. So it's paying for itself real quick. And of course, the big benefits, is better stewardship of the ground.
Right. Bob, we've got to take a break right now, and I want to hear from both you and Mary here on the other activities you've got going on the farm here. I know you've got soybeans and grain sorghum, but I want to hear some of these other activities. So stay with us, we'll be right back. You folks at home, stay with us, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsor.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and Chekhov-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer. We're on the Bob and Mary Mertz farm, just east of Manhattan in Riley County. And Bob and Mary, you mentioned earlier about sheep. You used to grow a lot of sheep, feed out a lot of sheep. Now it's more 4-H and FFA type stuff. So kind of tell us what you have here. And I see you have a couple donkeys here.
Well, we have one group of our lambs here, and these are what we call club lambs. And these are lambs that eventually we're breeding right now, and these lambs will be purchased in May, June for the kids that will be showing the 4-H and FFA this next summer. As you notice, we have a couple donkeys out here, and
I picked them right out.
And they fill two roles for us. One is they're a guard animal, and donkeys don't like canines or any type of dogs, but they actually like sheep, believe it or not. But
except for that exact moment.
Yes. And so if we don't let our dog get out here, or when our friends bring out dogs, we're on high alert if the dog gets loose and runs underneath the fence.
Sure.
I've seen these donkeys get real aggressive, and they're not the docile, nice-looking donkey that they are today. The second, they like to hold their own here too, as we notice here. The second thing I call, and I kid Mary, is we keep the donkeys around their yard art. And
movable yard art.
They're moving yard art, so that's the kind of enjoyable part of them too. They make some nice sounds with their bray.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, Bob, what kind of sheep do you have here?
Well, these club lambs would represent a couple of different breeds. One would be Hampshires.
I recognize those.
Some Suffolk breeding in them, and then what we call natural, and that would be the black or gray-hided sheep. But they're all kind of a crossbreed. Okay.
So I notice you have in a little lot here, a paddock here. What kind of feed do they mainly use?
Well, these sheep are grazing the fescue here in here late September, and they get a supplement of some corn, some energy, and so forth.
Do you have any trouble with fescue toxicity and that sort of thing?
No,
like they do down southeast?
Right. No, I try not to graze it in the middle of the summer when we have a seed head, and we keep it mowed for that reason. But I do watch out for that.
Okay, yeah, I would think that's pretty important
yes.
for sheep as well. So thanks for talking to us about the sheep operation. Folks, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Now another gardening tip with Annette Jackson.
Fall is a great time to plant trees, shrubs, and perennials. Root development this fall means more growth with less watering next year. For faster root growth, always use Fertilome Root Stimulator. It is the only stimulator which contains IBA rooting hormone. Use Fertilome tree and shrub food after the plant has been planted for a month.
Save 25% now on Jackson's homegrown hardy perennials. Let Jackson's friendly staff help you select the best plants for your landscape.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. We're on the Mertz family farm, and we also have a couple donkeys here with us, Della and Samson. And we talked a little bit about the sheep and the donkeys as well. But Mary, tell us a little bit more about the events and what you've done with the house and how that's gone into the event process and your activities with agriculture.
Okay. Well, first we started with agritourism in 2010, and we do a Feast of the Fields, and that is a white tablecloth dinner, chef prepared, and we hold that in our cornfield in June, and then we hold it in our rock barn in fall time. Cool. So it's kind of the cycle of farming, planting season and growing, and then the harvest time.
Okay, so tell me a little bit, I'm conjuring up in my mind, Field of Dreams, with Kevin Costner and that sort of thing. How do you kind of do that out in the cornfield?
Well, it's hard for Bob to actually cut his corn before it's ready to be cut, but he does. He makes a nice path for us where we put the tables harvest style, and we put white tablecloths on them and the china and the crystal. We have a top-notch chef, and we also feature Kansas wines, Kansas foods. And we get people that come from all over the state and farther.
How many people are we talking about this? Is it a coat and tie or is it casual?
It's kind of dressy casual. We do charge $100 per plate. It's there's musicians, there's an hors d'oeuvre, a reception, and then the 4 courses, of course. It's what do I want to say? It's an event that is special and unique, and we can put as many chairs as we want in a cornfield, but in case there's bad weather, we have to move it to the barn. And so comfortably we can only hold 72 in the barn, so we haven't done more than that at any one of our events. And
you said you charged, but it's not really a money-making thing.
No, and I'm glad you point that out, because this is more about education. We do work with groups like culinary students and K-State hotel and restaurant students, 4-H, FFA, state officers. They've been a big help for us. So if there's any money left over, it goes to the leadership programs in those different groups. Okay.
Well, that's really interesting. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the house.
Okay. Well, this is a very old house, like I said before, and we now have an empty nest ourselves, and so I thought it'd be really interesting to open up a guest house, because a lot of times during K-State games, Kansas State University graduations and all, there's a lack of places in town, and so I thought it'd be another way to bring people out for a different experience. And we've had people come again from all over the country who see us on the Airbnb site, and they love coming out, feeding Della and Samson, seeing the sheep, and we're not too far away from Manhattan, so it's been a really great venue for them and a really great experience for me to meet all these people from all over.
Well, that's great, the activities that you've done here.
Thank you.
Hang on, we've got to take a word from our sponsors here. Folks, stay with us. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
When your living depends on agriculture, you can depend on KFRM 550 AM. If you're in the southwest three-fourths of Kansas or the northern half of Oklahoma, catch us at 550 AM on the radio dial. But if that isn't you, listen on your cell phone at TuneIn Radio or on your computer at KFRM.com. We promise to keep you informed, entertained, and company as you go through your day. KFRM 550 AM, the voice of the plains. We would like to join your management team.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer. We're on the Mertz farm here in Riley County. And in this last segment here, I want to talk to you about your activities related to agriculture, but not on agriculture per se, that make you money. I'm talking about your activist, basically, the speaker for agriculture. And Mary, I know that you're both of you work with Farm Bureau extensively, and I know that you're involved with the GMO issue. So tell me, what are your roles? What is your role in that activity?
Well, I feel very strongly that the crops that we grow, and we do use GMO seeds, are as safe and healthy as crops grown by any other method. So when I hear things out there in the public about there being questions about the safety of GMOs, I very much feel a burden on my heart to share what we do and the reality of the safety. So there's various ways that I do that, and I do work with the Kansas Farm Bureau to serve on different panels that allow people to ask us questions. And my husband and I have been a farming couple on a panel, and we've been able to address the subject that way. We've held an event on GMOs, kind of celebrating them, and Kansas Farm Bureau was very instrumental with that too, as well as Kansas Department of Ag. And we also put together a proclamation that we had the governor sign that declared a week in April to be Biotechnology Awareness Week. Right. So through social media too, I try to provide our story, try to provide the facts, and try to dispel the myths.
You mean like if you eat some GMO corn, an arm will grow out of your head or something like that?
And I think that's what they're hearing. And we raised a healthy family here. We work next to, we work in, we eat it for 20 years now. And I don't think people are hearing the positives and the advantages of biotechnology. And so I've just felt it important to be the spokesperson for our farm to go out there and be a proponent of that. It just irks me really to hear people speaking so negatively about things that are not true about this science, which is safe and sound. And so I just pretty much share the truth and open up a dialogue and say, if you want to learn more, come to my farm, come talk to us.
Right.
And we would love to have a conversation with you.
Right.
Well, so many times we have people either on the chat rooms that you're on, or even one-on-one we meet people when we tell them that we're farmers, and we get into this type of conversation and find out their concerns and address those concerns. They understand, because when they hear it from a farmer exactly what we're doing, and we're not doing all those things that they're reading about, I think we have to do it one by one.
I think that farmers are now in a position to be able to get out there, especially with social media, and hit a lot more people than we could before. And we do it in all different ways. And so I'm out there trying to share as much as I can.
That's great. I really appreciate it. Mary, Bob, thanks for taking this time to do the show with us, and your work providing a safe food. Folks, thanks for being with us on That's My Farm. And don't forget, next Friday about this same time, we'll have another issue of That's My Farm. See you then.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.